CEOs have zero attention span. They have very short attention span, so you need to catch their attention quickly. And what will catch the attention of a CEO is their bottom line. How can you help me achieve my bottom line? And so you say, this product I'm giving to you would cut your cost from 50% to about, and will increase your profit margin within the next 1 year to about 90%. Then you have the attention. So I tend to want to tell people that you put your value first.
Okay.
And then we can now consider what is in need for the brand. And most times the brand doesn't really need core value in it, but is excellence, safety, integrity, passion, and innovation.
Welcome to Netizens ICT, where we talk about tech, entrepreneurship, and business strategy. Today we'll be talking about marketing and business communication and strategy, and no other person fits this role better than the group manager of Ibom Air, a fellow of National Institute of Marketing and a member of the National Institute of Marketing and Communications, Mrs. Annie Esinete. Welcome to the studio, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
I'm actually very excited to be with you here today, and your portfolio is like this long list of roles in both management and in communication. So first of all, we would like to know, what's your story, ma'am? How did you become an senator of Ibom Air?
It's very funny because I actually started my career as an intern writer with Vanguard.
Okay.
And when I was going to do my youth service, one of the editors had left to start up Business Day, Dr. Frank Igbogu. And so I just wanted to work with him because he's the one that gave me my first, I think, front page byline way back when I was still an intern. And so I walked into his office and I said that I needed to see the CEO. And they asked, who are you? I said, I'm a cop of I want to do my youth service here and I need to see the CEO. So I stayed almost the whole day to see him. And eventually he came to like, you mean you stayed all this long to see me? And I said, yes. And then he said, oh, then you shouldn't be a writer, you should go to the marketing unit. So he sent me off to the advert and marketing unit, and that is how I started my youth service. Instead of being a reporter, okay, I was now an advert executive. And so I followed that line of career going forward. I didn't study it in school.
Okay.
Yeah.
You are now a fellow of National Institute of Marketing. Tell us about that.
Okay, so as soon as I found my calling in marketing, I finished from the youth service, became a front desk officer, funny enough, with Alcatel-Lucent, but within 6 months I was, upgraded to run the marketing support unit, and I grew up the rank up until the marketing manager for West and Central Africa.
Okay.
I was in Alcatel for 10 years. That was my first job after the youth service, and I grew up the ranks to at least the highest office in Alcatel at the time in marketing. And as soon as I got the job, I think I registered to the Institute of Marketing, so that at least I can brush up my skill, seeing as I didn't study it in school.
Okay.
And of course, once you register as an associate, after a while, taking the exams, attending the seminar, you go to be a member. And then after being a member for at least 10 years, you're nominated to be a fellow. As a matter of fact, I've been nominated a fellow for the last 3 years. But I only just accepted it last year because that's when I had the time to.
That's great. In all the things you have said, you've mentioned that you have been promoted from one role to the other. What's that thing you think they see in you or you do that makes them to be like, this person is fit for this role? You go there, you do the next thing, and they're like, they are fit for this role again. What's that thing?
I mean, it's out of the box thinking. For every profession, there are the tenets of the profession. And it's almost like for marketing is that profession that doesn't change, but the industry changes. So you see that I moved from the media communication industry to the ICT, and now I'm in aviation, and I'm still doing marketing. So it's your ability to adapt immediately to your new environment and see what you can do differently to make an impact. I always look for that thing that will make me stand out.
Okay.
I do not believe in mediocrity, and so sometimes I find it very difficult when I work with people that just want to do the basal. And so sometimes I might come across like a dragon queen, because I believe people have potentials and they need to keep pushing themselves. So I tell my subordinates, my colleagues, that for every time I was promoted, I almost worked out my promotion myself, because you perform so much that they have no choice but to say, let's take this person to the next level.
Okay.
And that's because you try to do over and above that which you're given to do. And you see the need of your organization, and you think of solutions that you can bring to the table to help meet whatever need that requires a role to meet. So
Okay,
that's it, yeah.
that's great. Most women have this misconception that for them to make it in a settle or advance to certain places, they are not just selling their skills, they need to sell their bodies. Let's say there's that misconception. But then you have advanced so much based on your own intellect, based on your own understanding of the workforce, and then how you adapt, as you have said, to what the demand is. So, what strategy would you give women who want to scale from wherever they are in their business now?
So first of all, I don't think it's what most women think. It's what the society thinks. Most society feels that as long as a woman looks a certain way and is rising up her career, she must be compromising one thing or another, and it's not necessarily the case. Because saying that would mean that the person did not come with anything to the table. And so for women that want to advance, I mean, I was with a lady the other day. I think it was a panel discussion we had during Rio Fashion Week, where a lady said her sister has been a bank manager for 20 years, and no one has so much as stepped up to her to ask her out. It's the way you carry yourself. It's the way you deal with people.
Okay.
I see young people these days, they make themselves so vulnerable. It's almost as though they're just waiting to be asked out. You don't do that in the workplace. When you're in your workplace, you want to bring your professional foot forward all the time. Let people consider you based on your competency and not because of the way you look.
Okay.
And so what I would advise is this: when you go into a work environment, you need to leave no one without a doubt that you're here to deliver service, and cleanly and clearly as possible. And when such conversations come up, you find diplomatic ways of turning it down. You don't even entertain it because it might get out of hand and you might not be able to, control it. So I know for sure that women, I have tons of friends, I have colleagues that have gone up the ranks and file of their organization without having to compromise. And in some cases, nobody even steps up to them. Because how would you even approach the story? How would you even step up to them? I can imagine somebody stepping up to me now. What would they say? I'm married with 3 teenage boys. And so one of the questions that one of my younger colleagues asked me was, when I first came to Ibom, they thought I was single. And they were shocked to see that I was able to juggle, career, marriage, and motherhood. And nothing falls off the crack. It's the intentionality you have about life. So you know how it is that you're growing up, you have everything in a box. I'm going to do this a certain time. And I mean, being a Christian as well helped, because if you follow it up with prayers and you put your vision, you find that you keep ticking the boxes. Before you know, you complete the ticking and it just flows. So I mean, when I think I got married 2 years after my youth service. About that, 2 years after my youth service, I think, and then I started having kids almost immediately, and I had 3 kids in 4 years because I wanted them out of the way so that I can face my career. And then with a fantastic support system such as we have in Africa, I had my mother-in-law, and so even though my job entailed frequent traveling all over the world, I had, a very good support system in my mother and my mother-in-law, and of course, my greatest cheerleader, my husband. So I had no issues. So I think I've been blessed to have made some right decisions early on in life, and it's tidying me by right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. So now that brings us back to how people can get their foot in front of the door. During your while Joseph Edgar was having his keynote speech during the Uyo Fashion Week, you were helping him with the elevator pitch exercise he was carrying on. So during the exercise, you were going to tell us how you to properly pitch the elevator pitch. So I want to ask first of all, can you tell us a story where someone pitched you an idea and you bought the ask?
Okay. Most times it's almost maybe by the second or third
Time they are telling you.
Because, someone comes to sell me a story and say they're going to, and they start selling the value to my brand, that they're going to project my brand, really? Who's projecting who?
Okay.
And they come and say, oh, we're going to put you on all communication materials. For those that are seeking for sponsorship, and you're asking them, is it adding up to you?
Yeah.
Is it adding up in your mind space? Because if you're approaching a brand such as ours that is
already well known,
and you're an ongoing known man, and you're telling me, based on my partnership with you,
that you're going to have more visibility.
actually you already lost me. So most people lose me on that, and
Okay.
I just say, okay, go back and articulate it properly. But if I see that they have a good product and they just need to be edged on, I say, okay, I'm just going to do this because I think what you're doing is laudable. However, do not go to a brand and tell them you're going to get, buy them visibility. Like they don't know
when
how
they
to do
have
it.
More than you,
Like even if they don't, you think they don't know how to do it. So I tend to want to tell people that you put your value first.
Okay.
And then we can now consider what is in it for the brand. And most times the brand doesn't really need anything. They just need to be associated with something or an initiative that is forward thinking in the right space, that is solving a problem,
okay,
bridging a gap. So I don't have specifics off the top of my head. If I thought about it before now, if I had the question before now, perhaps I would have given you a few. But what I was trying to allude to during that conversation was, if you have the attention of busy executive, when I say busy, not like they have a lot of things on their table and you need to catch their attention quickly and in a hurry. You do not want to waste times with, I don't want to use the word frivolous, but unnecessary intros. You want to go straight to the point, and sell the value.
Okay.
And then the value and how it's mutually beneficial. Okay? And you can think of anything else, but do not say you want to help me project my brand. It ticks me off because you can't. We're doing a good job, by God's grace. We're doing the best we can to project the brand. So one of those things that needs to be taken off that conversation is how you're going to help me with project. Maybe you say, okay, you want to help me with engaging a certain demographic. So for instance, if you are coming to do like a sporting event, which we're sponsoring, I think there's one that's happening over the weekend, and you see the target of the sporting event is between 18 and 25, and you just want to create visibility of the brand to be like supporting their mental health or their physical health, within that bandwidth. We're not necessarily saying that these people would buy, our product, or maybe, but it means that when they see the product, it's associated with some sort of well-being and some gain they've had.
Okay.
So it makes more sense that way. Okay? So we're not supporting it for immediate gain. It's for top-of-mind awareness, it's for engagement, it's for brand affiliation.
Okay.
There's several other things brands look out for when they engage in partnerships with organizations or services or products.
Okay.
That is not necessarily outright traction in the marketplace.
That's great. So you're in the communication and marketing field per se, and with considerable years of experience. Based on your experience, what are the best marketing strategies right now for brands to focus on in terms of social media? Is it content, video marketing, or outbound marketing strategies?
So it's on a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you different examples. So when Ibom Air started, we did not want to start advertising because advertisers is like, hey, here am I, use me,
Yeah.
I can do this, I can do that. But what we wanted to do was to sell a product that people are craving for in the way they want it. It's different when you give somebody a gift, because then you give the person a gift that they truly want. So we looked at the market and did a gap analysis. What is really missing in the market today? And that's why we decided to say, okay, schedules were not reliable, planes were not departing on time, and the services were not, where it should be. You know, you could go to someone and, oh my God, this thing really takes me off. Like you're in front of someone and the person is talking to someone else and just say, they don't even bother to say excuse me. They're just like, yes, and you're like, goodness me. So we found that in terms of service delivery, there was a huge gap in the Nigerian market, the way you treat people. So we wanted to give the passengers a sense of importance when they come to our counter. So when you come, we give you attention, we maintain eye contact, we do that which we need to do, and we'll usher you onto your way. And so from end to end, we focused on the customer experience through the value chain. And that's why sometimes when people that have come to get used to that service don't get it, they get rattled. They get rattled not because we're not still, you know, a little bit better than what is obtainable in the industry, but they've come to expect this. And they do not want the expectation to be devastated. So it's end-to-end service that we provide.
Okay.
And so for any marketing initiative that wants to comment or is being nurtured, you want to be able to gauge what value you want to bring to the table. What are you trying to create? Who are your target audience? These are just basic marketing things for your target audience. What platforms do they engage in? Where do you want to find them? And then what are their expectations of you? And that would now help you sit down with your team and curate a buyer journey. In marketing, there's this, they say it's discover, learn, try, buy, and advocate. So first of all, they need to discover your service. And then you find a way to let them experience the service. In some cases in technology, you could do a show and tell, or try and buy. That's the you've discovered by saying, oh, Ibome is here, it's on the billboard. Like, what is Ibome about? They've already discovered it, so they could go search for it. So for you to do discovery, and you're using out of home, for instance, you want to follow it up with some social media stuff, such as maybe Google Display Network, because for today's consumers, as soon as they see your billboard, they want to go with Google. And that's why sometimes we put QR code. So let me save you the stress. Just do the QR code, scan it, and then you go and find all the information that you need. So once they discover, they want to learn more about you. To learn more about you, they need to find you in the space where they can find Google. So, I mean, a marketing person should be able to know how to do search engine optimization and put their conversation out there. So when people discover them and want to learn about them, they type them, they see the right information that they require. And then try. After I've discovered you, and discovery can be another level, and I'll talk about it when I get to the advocacy. They want to try the service. If they try the service and the promise you gave is what they find, oh my goodness, they become advocates. So you know what they call user-generated content? Yeah. It's one of the marketing tools that we use these days. Those guys are the ones that will go online and say, man, have you tried Ibom Air? And so that's what the kind of marketing that sustained us for the first 2 years of our existence. Okay. We only started core marketing immediately after COVID, because then we needed to differentiate ourselves to say, look, okay, the market is opening and we're here and we're still coming back with what we promised you. But we found that within the first 100 days, people were the ones that are saying, go and buy Ibom ticket. Oh, go and buy that. We didn't even need to advertise. Okay. And there's some products or service that would never advertise because they already have a niche audience. And that's why in those cases you have high-level conversations or high networking events. When I was in the tech space, if I wanted to talk to CEOs do not have time to look at your advertising, see how nicely crafted your words are. You bring them to a table, like do a CEO round table. And you know CEOs have zero attention span. They have very short attention span, so you need to catch their attention quickly. And what will catch the attention of a CEO is their bottom line. How can you help me achieve my bottom line? And so you say, this product I'm giving to you would cut your cost from 50% to about, and will increase your profit margin within the next 1 year to about 90%. Then you have the attention. You talk in numbers. But if you go to maybe a mom and pop shop and you start talking numbers, they say, what up? Just give me the product, let me go. So you have to situate it based on your audience. If I was talking to CIOs, as chief information officers, which were my, my cohorts, the cohorts to the CEOs whilst we were doing selling technology. Okay. So we talk to the CEOs because they're the ones that finalize the check, but the ones that decide what to buy are the CIOs. So you situate different conversations to the different, audience. And when you have the high level conversation and they need to find out more about you, sometimes they want to go to independent sources. And so if I wanted to talk to CIOs, I'll look at myself like, what newspapers, because they don't have time to start looking at physical newspapers, what newspapers would a CIO pick up in the morning and read? And maybe my mind goes to Punch. I'll put a rider in Punch that talks about that thing. And what I would say, save 90% of your overhead costs in 1 year, find out how. Okay. And they click on that find out how, and I'm here on the other side to say this is how. And I say, okay, I can even go further, we can do a show and tell. And we either invite them to offices to do a show and tell, or we invite them to where we have a big exhibition where they can look at the bouquet of service that speaks to their need. So it's different, methodology for different audience. Coming back to my audience, which is, of course, is business to the consumer. Of course, we have that was business to business. Business to the consumer is where you have to address a mass wider market. You need to find out who your audience are, where they travel to, and what their expectations are. So for instance, for students, if we're going to have student package, you know that every parent will want to have a reduced cost for their child. So you could go to the school and tell them, okay, we could give you a group, rate for your school. That would be a huge relief to the parents. If the parent knows that you have this service, they would be the ones to tell the school, please use this airline because we'll be saving ourselves, even if it's 10% of the ticket cost. So you have a different conversation too. That's why I was telling Edgar that sometimes you target the people themselves. If a mother is in a car with a child and gala passes and the child starts to cry and is pointing at the gala, for her peace of mind she'll buy the gala. So who influenced the buying decision?
The child.
The woman wouldn't have spent that money if that child wasn't crying. So the gala people know. And so sometimes you find that even the Indomie advert is not targeted at
the parents.
They're trying to whip up some sort of sentiment in the children. And so they do it. So when they follow their mom to the market, they say, "Mommy, you must be into me." Even if they don't follow their parents, they'll say, "Mommy, please do not forget to buy Indomie. You do good, Mama. Mama, do good." So they can associate it. So it depends on who your target audience is. You craft your narrative to suit them. So it's on a case-by-case basis. So for me, I do 360. Like I said, if you want to go through the three, how will I put it? The 3 journey, the 5 buyer journey, stages of the buyer journey. Yeah. Discover, you do use House of Home. Learn, you use social media. Try, of course, you find a way to entice them to enter your vehicle. Maybe you could now offer, get 50% off if you buy your tickets 2 weeks before. We put something to just make them try, And then when they buy it, of course, they now become, and they like it, they become your advocates. And then you now start using this user-generated content to even create advertisements. Because for them to put it there and tag you, you can always repost it and say, happy customer. And that becomes an advertisement. So we use all 360, campaigns as the case may be.
Well, all you have mentioned, right, it cannot be done by one person. Mm-hmm. Because if you're going to focus on a lot of marketing strategies, you need a professional in both outbound. You need a team, someone that is good in outbound, someone that's good in inbound, digital marketers, and the rest. But the question I want to ask now is, how do you manage teams to make sure that everybody is doing what they're supposed to do?
It's a stretch. And so for marketing organizations such as myself, we leverage external, agencies a lot. So we know that we cannot have all this tools that we use for photography when we need to, anchor events and everything. So we have a photography agency. We know that we might not be able to do all the graphics, for our billboard. We have the ideas, but someone has to bring it to life. Okay. So we need a graphic artist and the content creators in that sense. We know that we cannot put together videos because we do not have what it takes to, except you want to put up a video, it really doesn't make sense because there's an ecosystem and you leverage those ecosystems. There's no need for you to start from scratch when you know that you can always, get
Leverage.
people that can do it for you. So what we do is every once in a while we review the people we use and see if they're meeting up to the standard. We retain them. Otherwise, we start scouting for others. So we have agencies that do media buying for us. We have the ones that do digital, assets and everything. So we have external team.
Okay.
And so for the way we handle the external team is that we have briefs, we have meetings, we do a brief document telling them exactly what to use and the expectations are. And then, of course, once the deliverable comes, we discuss it. If it's fine, we use otherwise some iteration, and then it's good to go. Our internal team then becomes the ones that we need to segment to ensure that they are able to handle certain things. So we have teams that handle the communication. And so when we have our team meeting, we do the weekly team meeting,
Okay.
and sometimes we do monthly. We plan 2 months ahead. And so we know the things that we want to do. We sit down and decide on the creative directions we want to go with those things, and then we get everybody to go to town. The voiceover artist, it has to be, so we can decide, it has to be a female this time, it has to be a male. We put them in buckets. I mean,
Okay.
we create our assets. It's not easy, excuse me, but we try as much as possible to make it all come together, leveraging different agencies within the ecosystem, to achieve, because we cannot, if I wanted to have, I mean, the biggest team I've run, marketing team I've run is 11, but I find that I had an even bigger marketing team in the agencies, where you would have like maybe one creative person in-house.
Okay.
You have a bouquet, a retinue of, creatives in an agency that can put heads together and come up with what better ideas than one person could. So it's always, wise, time effective, to leverage, the different agencies within your ecosystem to achieve that which you want to achieve.
That's great.
Yeah.
Final question before we close for the day. If a brand is coming to work with IBOM, at least an agency like Netizens wants to maybe train your staff on maybe aviation or any other emerging tech skills, or maybe they just want to handle media or whatever, what's that one thing you look out for when someone wants to work with IBOM?
Excellence. See, our core value in IBOM is excellence, safety, integrity. What's the other one? Passion and innovation. You have to be excellent oriented. Our people just like to say it doesn't matter. Oh my goodness, do not tell me it doesn't matter. I can lose my mind. You have to work, first of all, excellence. Do not compromise. Integrity, do not compromise. I was giving an example of integrity the other time. Integrity for me is that I go to McDonald's as an ordinary person. I buy a burger for $1.99. Obama goes to that same McDonald's and buys dollar for $1.99. But what we find is that, they say, because it's IBOM, the price is almost times 10. It doesn't speak to integrity, especially if the service is not times 10. So what we do is that we kind of vet the people we work with and say, let us know what your going rates are. We're corporates, so we understand that you're here for business. Let's know what your corporate rates are, and let us tell you our deliverable. If the rate doesn't match the outputs, it then becomes an integrity issue for me, because if you're putting a premium on your service, I should be able to get the premium service as well. So safety, of course, we want to embody, safety in everything that we do. If you're going to come, because there was a time, for instance, I do the photo shoots of my executive, and people bring their studio to the office because, of course, you can't get the executives to go out. When you're doing it, it has to be in such a way that when they come in, there's nothing lying, or it just has to be a safe environment. Before bulb lights up on my boss's head and there's a problem. So HSC is something that we look out for in the organization, and we even get our quality team to go vet, the quality, the safety of, the organizations that we're working with. And then passion. Passion is me giving you 10 a.m. call time and you arriving at 9:30 just because you do not want to run late. It's amazing that some individuals will call you at 10 o'clock and tell you they're on your way and think it's okay. And then when you call it out, they're like, oh, it's just 10. This happened, that happened, that happened. We are a no excuse kind of organization. And that's why even our leaders are no excuse leaders. I once gave an analogy, and I like to give this. There was a time we had a major activity in Lagos. I lived in First Stack on the mainland at the time, and my office was in Victoria Island. I woke up in my usual time, hurried out, and then there was this trailer on the road. Driver couldn't move, nowhere, so we kept calling, where are you, where are you, where are you? Because that thing would not wait. I got out of my car, rolled up my sleeve, rolled up my feet, walked, because I was conscious of our call time. I already told somebody, it was raining. I told somebody, I'm going to be dirty, go to the closest boutique you can find, get me whatever labu dress. I just need to be clean. But long and short of the story, we got to the place, delivered on the thing, and then we started telling the story, more, if you see the traffic. And then we found that the people there were still there.
Yeah.
So it would have been an excuse. After all, it's force majeure, it's not my fault. I was stuck in traffic. But we don't do excuses where I come from. And so when I try to groom the people I work with, I said, excuses sound nice. They're always very reasonable. But don't give it to me. My cat died. Bury the cat, come, do your work, and then we can mourn your cat later. And it's not because you want to be insensitive. It's because there are people that are depending on that service. And if they're depending on you, you can be rest assured that some other people are depending on them. So if you break that chain, it's going to be chaos. And how many times can a business survive chaos day on day? So we try to make it a daily habit, so it becomes like part of our culture, that as much as depend on you, do not give any excuse when it comes to your deliverables.
That's great.
Yeah.
I so much appreciate this time, though I wish we could talk longer. I would like to hear about crisis management and order, but we're on a time schedule. So I want to thank you once again for joining us here at Netizens ICT, and we appreciate you. I mean, what I've just said here should be a paid course. I mean, it was so much. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you for staying for the episode of The Entrepreneur's Manual. Join us here at Netizens ICT for your podcast. Subscribe and drop a like. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you very much.